Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. What's going on, guys? Now, we have a matchup set for December 16th between two very notable light heavyweights. On one end, we have Sullivan Barrera, coming off of the biggest fight of his career, was a loss to Andre Ward. And on the other hand, we have a guy in Slava Shabranskyy who is still staking his claim at light heavyweight, has had a notable win over Yunieski Gonzalez, and was rumored to fight Andre Ward, but that fight never materialized for whatever reason. So I think this is a great fight, man. A really good matchup. For the simple fact that, boxing this year, there's been a lot of fights that have fallen through the cracks for whatever reason. We've had Klitschko Joshua not happen. We've had Badu Jack, James DeGale not happen so far. We've had Badu Jack, James DeGale. We've had Burrow, Danny Garcia not happen for whatever the reason. There's just been a lot of fights, and I'm sure I know I've just missed a bunch of other ones, but those are just a couple that come to mind. So it's good to focus on the positive and what is happening in boxing. And what we have here are two light heavyweights who are prospects, yes, but not young prospects. Barrera's 34, Shabransky's 29. So these are guys that have to go for the gusto right now. And if they don't go for the gusto right now, they're never going to be able to put themselves in a position to be anything at 175. So credit to them for both recognizing that and understanding that they can push themselves up the rankings with the win. So there you have it. Barrera, we'll start with Barrera. Sullivan Barrera, 34 years old, Cuban amateur, not a Rigondeaux or a Gamboa level amateur, but a good domestic level Cuban amateur. He's coming off a win, or actually a loss, to Andre Ward in a fight where I don't think he was truly ready, number one, because he only had 17 fights in his career. He was a guy that, 17 fights in his career, no big fight experience. The biggest fight he had before that was Carl Marat. Style-wise, it was a fight that was another tailor-made fight for Andre Ward. A guy who was slow-footed, who doesn't have great power. Barrera just didn't have the tools to beat an Andre Ward. But he was able to land his jab every now and then, and you can see under Ward's, I believe it was his left eye or his right. I don't remember which eye it was. I'm pretty sure it was his right eye that he had. He had a small little bruise from all the jabs. You can clearly see it in the post-fight press conference. But now he's coming to a fight where I believe he can use that experience to his advantage. A lot has changed for Barrera since then. He's gotten a big fight under his belt with a top 5 pound-for-pound fighter. He's fought on the big stage. He's also switched trainers, as I talked about here on the channel. He got rid of Abel Sanchez. He's now working with Derek Santos, who's worked with John David Jackson. So I think there's two factors in his training camp that could help him out moving forward, and that's the simple fact that he's not going to have to go to Big Bear to train, which I think is good for him. He doesn't have to make the commute from South Florida all the way to California. So that's always a plus. Aside from that, he's working with a guy in Derek Santos who I believe he'll be very comfortable with. I've seen Derek Santos work with numerous fighters. I've only met him one time, but I saw him the week of Francis Bartholomew and Mickey Bay. I saw him work with guys like Steve Jaffard and Dia Davis, and what I saw was a trainer who has a good relationship with his fighters, a guy who really pushes his fighters to get every last ounce of them, kind of like we see with John David Jackson. And being that he's worked with John David Jackson, I would assume from what I've seen from him that he's in a astute boxing mind that can get Sullivan Barrera to another level. And they've been working really hard. I've been seeing their Instagram videos. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm rooting for Barrera. Nice guy. I met him here in South Florida. But on the other hand, we have Slava Shabranskyy, a guy who's a devastating, a really good puncher. A guy who, like Barrera, is on the older side of his career. But people want to see more of this guy. And a lot of people wanted to see Ward fight Shabranskyy, and that fight never happened. I believe that was because the punching power was just too much, and Ward didn't want to risk potentially getting hit by one punch and potentially getting knocked out before his big fight with Kovalev. So we got a guy out like Alexander Brand to make sure that he could get his rounds in and look somewhat good against a can. But Shabranskyy is going to be a tough fight for Barrera, just for the simple fact that the punching power. If Ward was able to put him down with a shot, regardless if it was a slap and Barrera's off balance, I still think that's a telling sign. And potentially, maybe his chin can't hold up to the power of Shabranskyy. So we'll see what happens, man. Outside of that, for Shabranskyy, this is gonna be probably the best fighter he's fought. Arguably, you could argue that Yunieski Gonzalez is the best fighter he fought because Gonzalez was a guy who fought Pascal. Was a top 10 light heavyweight for years, regardless of what you think of how he was after the first Kovalev fight. He's still a top 10 light heavyweight, and he was able to go in there and look really good against him. And a lot of people thought he won that fight. I thought he won that fight, and then he got robbed. Then he fought Shabranskyy. I never watched the fight, so maybe you guys can tell me. But in that particular fight, was a majority draw. One call was 95-95, so I don't know if Shabranskyy looked good or not. But regardless of the fact, he got the W over a legitimate opponent, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do against another legitimate light heavyweight. It's going to be a good test for him because Barrera's never been stopped. Barrera's coming off of a fight where, yeah, he lost decisively, but he didn't get hurt too bad, and you got some valuable experience. So he's coming in against a more experienced fighter, and that could be dangerous for him. So we'll see what happens. But I like this fight. I like the simple fact that we have two light heavyweights who are signing the contract to fight each other, notable good fighters. And I believe the winner of this fight should fight Ward or Kovalev because both of these guys have been linked to both Ward and Kovalev. Shabranskyy was supposed to fight. A lot of people wanted to see Ward fight Shabranskyy because he's a puncher, and people wanted to see him get prepared for that. People thought that would be a good way to get prepared for Kovalev. That didn't happen. The fight fell through the cracks for whatever reason. I believe it was money, of course. But yeah, I believe whoever wins this fight should fight the winner, Ward Kovalev. That's my opinion. You guys can let me know in the comments down below what you think about this fight and if the winner should fight Ward or Kovalev. I think the reason they should fight the winner, Ward Kovalev, because the way I look at it is this: whether Ward or Kovalev wins, whoever they fight next is going to be a step down. But if there's going to be a step down, at least let it be a step down against somebody who's a legitimate opponent, so those guys can keep building their resumes and proving that they're the best light heavyweights in the world. And if they lose to one of those guys, and the simple fact of the matter is that they're not the best light heavyweight in the world anymore. So that's my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys.